promoting sustainable agricultural practices and addressing issues such as flooding.
President Bola Tinubu addresses joint sitting of St. Lucia Parliament, stresses importance of consolidating on bond of friendship. Senate seeks input of stakeholders as it gives legal backing to institutions established by President Tinubu. APC fixes July the 24th for NEC meeting to replace a former national chairman. Hello and welcome to the news at 11 on NTA News 24. I'm Nancy Godi Angonehu. Now the news in detail. Nigeria and St. Lucia have expressed a readiness to establish cooperation in shared areas of interest for mutual prosperity. President Bola Tinubu confirmed Nigeria's readiness to formalize relations with St. Lucia as a point of contact to member nations of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. State House correspondent Musbah Den Wahab reports.
President Tinubu of his Sanders ground. A defining moment imminent, one to herald a new chapter in history for Nigeria and member nations of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States.
Sir. Good morning. His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All rise.
President of the largest black nation in the world is the special guest of a joint session of the Lucian Senate and House of Assembly. Two nations close, yet far apart by nature, are set to close ranks irrespective of their geographical locations. For President Tinubu, in furtherance of a pro-African disposition of Nigeria, its contributions to the unity and development of the black race and the reforms embarked upon by his administration, Nigeria remains committed to strengthening and widening the bond of unity, this time with the Eastern Caribbean nations.
We can deepen our understanding and enhance collective resilience. Joint efforts in promoting sustainable agricultural practices and addressing issues such as flooding and drought will also contribute to food security and reduce climate vulnerability in both our regions. Together, we can leverage our respective strengths to attract investments, create jobs, and foster joint ventures that benefit both our peoples.
President Tinubu expresses Nigeria's readiness to set the tone with technical aid, full scholarship to students, as well as visa waiver on diplomatic and official passports from St. Lucia and OECS member states.
I encourage the integration of Nigeria and OECS cultural awareness of our shared heritage, values, and traditions among future generations.
In our drive for greater use of renewable energy, we welcome Nigerian renewable energy companies to bring their technology, expertise, and equipment to support the island's sustainable renewable energy mix. Your country's regulatory and technical experience in the energy sector could help us accelerate the necessary reforms in our infrastructure.
President Tinubu continues his engagement in St. Lucia with a meeting behind closed doors with members of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. From Sanders Ground, St. Lucia, Musbah and Wahab, NC News.
Back here in Nigeria, the federal government has made provisions in the 2025 budget to support youth engaged in vocational training in the country with startup capital. Speaker, House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas stated thus while addressing the third batch of graduates of the Shamsuna Ahmed ICT and National Training Center in Zaria, Kaduna State. National Assembly correspondent Bitaire Iben reports.
The federal government's vocational center in Zaria is a skill acquisition hub for hundreds of youths seeking to be self-reliant, but startup capital is a challenge for most of them. Rounding off his visit to Zaria to mark 2 years in office, Speaker, House of Representatives Abbas Tajuddin is impressed with the craftsmanship of the trainees, advising them to elevate their trade with ICT applications and online presence, while pledging government support.
I want to assure you that in the 2025 budget, we have made provision for this particular school to benefit with 100 million naira startup capital. The management of the school will decide on the modus operandi, on the parameters to be used to give results to graduating students, beginning from these students who are graduating today.
We thank him very, very much for all this intervention. We also thank the President for supporting Mr. Speaker to bring all these developmental projects to Zaria local government.
Speaker Abbas also inspected completed constituency projects in Zaria, including a technology innovation hub, a cottage hospital, and ICT center. In Zaria, Mitaire Ikwen, NTA News.
The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Emergency Rule in Rivers State has asked the sole administrator of the state, Vice Admiral Ibok Eke Ibas, to submit a breakdown of major items in the 2025 1.48 trillion naira appropriation bill. At a budget defense session where Vice Admiral Ibas was represented, the lawmakers requested the Rivers sole administrator to submit the medium-term expenditure framework that should precede the budget. They also expressed reservations over bulk allocations without breakdown in budgets, such as 24 billion naira for CCTV cameras to be installed in the state government house.
Question of 30 billion for gunboats and 25 billion for contingency. We know Rivers State has its own peculiarities, but we need additional details for those allocations. The committee also believes that allocating state funds to undertake federal projects without existing agreements is not proper. Even if you met it, you should demand to see that document to be sure that state funds already allocated to the states does not find its way back to the federal government one way or the other. We are not against the project. We are just saying the proper thing should be done.
The committee commended President Bola Tinubu for his intervention, which brought about peace between the suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara and Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike. Now, in driving innovation and transformation of President Tinubu's administration in Nigeria's tertiary education, the Senate has sought the input of stakeholders as it gives legal backing to institutions established. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that institutions covering health, education, science and technology are expected to redefine the nation's future in meeting the needs of the 21st century.
The public hearing convened by the Senate Committee on Tertiary Education and Tech Fund drew stakeholders from across Nigeria's geopolitical zones in support of investment in human capital to transform the country's economic fortunes. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, hailed the foresight of President Tinubu for providing an environment for Nigeria's prosperity using education as a launch pad.
These initiatives are not just about constructing new campuses or expanding infrastructure. They are about empowering minds, igniting innovation, and nurturing national unity.
In 2 years, we have established more than 150 polytechnic universities and federal colleges of education in this very hollow chamber.
The realization that University of Education Special is a tool for making adequate provision for people with disabilities to attain the highest level of education and the need to promote inclusive and equal education access and opportunity for national development.
Participants at the hearing agreed that the proposed institutions, which include Federal University of Technology, Yaba, Federal University of Education Special, Oyo, Federal University of Health Sciences, Funtua, Federal University of Technology, Ikotabasi, Federal University of Geomatics, Oyo, and Federal University of Technology, Omoku, are strategic for inclusivity and accessibility. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The governing All Progressives Congress APC has fixed the 24th of July 2025 for its National Executive Committee meeting for the replacement of its immediate past National Chairman Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. The resolution was reached and made public immediately after its 174th National Working Committee meeting by its Deputy National Secretary Festus Fwaunta. The Deputy National Secretary added that notice for the NEC meeting has already been forwarded to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. This is news at 11 on NTA News 24. We shall be right back with more reports. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. The People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has resolved all its internal differences and has held its 100th National Executive Committee meeting as one united family. Timothy Yusuf reports that NEC unanimously agreed that Senator Samuel Anyanwu continues to act as party national secretary.
It was a chaotic situation this Monday morning at the national headquarters of the PDP. Some leaders scheduled a meeting under the banner of an expanded National Caucus meeting in place of an earlier proposed NEC, while another group insisted NEC must hold as planned. Deployment of security personnel to the premises, however, prevented an impending danger that later forced the party's Board of Trustees to hold its meeting at the Eradua Center, while the governors on the PDP platform held theirs at the Asokoro Bauchi State Governor's Lodge. In all, the meeting resolved all of the PDP lingering issues that thereafter culminated into a united meeting with an expanded caucuses from across the country under the banner of a NEC meeting at the national headquarters of the PDP.
I will still use the opportunity to call on party faithful to stop arbitrary demarketing of this party.
NWC, please don't allow a crack anymore.
Chairman of the PDP Governors Forum and Governor of Bauchi State, Senator Bala Mohammed, on behalf of the forum, emphasized that the party's internal dispute resolution mechanism is working.
we are all on the same page. No excuse for coalition. No excuse to form any stakeholders meeting other than that of the NWC.
The meeting ended with the resolution that another NEC meeting holds on the 23rd of July 2025 to further address the party's upcoming national convention. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The federal government, in adherence to the Basic Health Care Provision Fund's guidelines, has approved the disbursement of more than 32 billion naira to all designated funding gateways to strengthen ongoing efforts to improve public health outcomes across the country. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, who revealed this while presiding over the 2025 second quarter of the BHCPF committee meeting in Abuja, also emphasized the significance of the recent signing of the tax reform bills into law by President Bola Tinubu, which will mark a strategic step towards reducing Nigeria's reliance on foreign funding for health and other key sectors. Oluseyi Adeyabo has more.
The Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, BHCPF, represents a strategic initiative by the federal government to strengthen healthcare financing by improving access to affordable healthcare, particularly for vulnerable population. According to the leadership of the Federal Ministry of Health, recent government interventions, especially the Presidential Initiative for Unlocking the Healthcare Value Chain, PVAC, are already yielding positive outcomes.
Just last week, His Excellency signed the tax bill. Nigerians don't think about the implications of those kinds of reforms. When you check out the hydrocarbon subsidy, you create the simplified tax bill. You are increasing government revenue, and it is that government revenue that will finance issues like health, like education and other things. So there's a connection between the bold reforms of the administration with our ability to fund basic services. Because good health care is not cheap health care. Countries have to invest in it, and Nigeria is investing in it, and we will do more.
The transparency and the inclusiveness is driving more involvement at the subnational level. It's driving more involvement of the civil society organization, and also is ensuring some level of synergy among the various agencies of government that are involved.
32 billion will be disbursed over 6 months, right? So the first quarter of the year, 16 billion, and then the subsequent quarter, another 16 billion.
The goal is that by 2030, 70% of all essential healthcare medicines, products, commodities in Nigeria will be produced locally in Nigeria.
A lot of the evidence-based reports that we got, and for us in the CSO, we need that to use it as a tracking tool to see how health is improving for Nigerians across board.
The Ministerial Oversight Committee of the BHCPF convened to provide leadership across the 4 implementation gateways, conducting a comprehensive review of the program's coverage and identifying existing gaps. In Abuja, Oluseyi Adeyabo, NTA News.
The presidency has described the initiative by Dangote Petroleum Refinery to invest more than 720 billion naira to implement its landmark initiative of deploying 4,000 compressed natural gas CNG-powered trucks for the nationwide distribution of petroleum products, expected to save Nigerians over 1.7 trillion naira annually, as commendable. Commercial Coordinator of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, PCNGI, Tosin Koka, praised the move as a strong vote of confidence in Nigeria's gas field future. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, also commended the development, calling it a timely resolution to long-standing challenges in the downstream sector. IPMAN National Publicity Secretary Chinedu Okadike stated that the new model would significantly reduce logistic burdens for independent marketers by delivering more affordable fuel directly to filling stations. Development economist Professor Ken Ife, CEO, Financial Derivatives Company, Bismarck Rewani and energy expert and co-founder of Dairy Hills, Kelvin Emmanuel, are quite convinced that this noble decision by Dangote Petroleum Refinery will bring a positive rebirth to the sector. The refinery in a statement says that it aims to meet Nigeria's daily consumption of 65 million liters of refined petroleum products, of 45 million liters of petroleum and premium motor spirit, PMS, 15 million liters of diesel, and 5 million liters of aviation fuel. 50 ladies in Edo State are in the process of joining the League of Nigerian Women, carving a niche for themselves in the nation's automotive industry. The National Automotive Design and Development Council has collaborated with the Edo State government and First Lady Mechanic Initiative to facilitate CNG conversion training for ladies in the state. Jude Abugu was at the official launch of the training in Benin City. He now reports.
The rapid switch to CNG, which serves as a cost-saving, efficient and cleaner energy alternative for Nigerians, has created an urgent need for more CNG conversion technicians in the country. In meeting this rising demand for technicians that will drive the nation's CNG revolution, the National Automotive Design and Development Council is commencing CNG conversion training for women across the country. The Director General, represented at the opening of the training, says the program is in line with the presidential CNG initiative.
We have abundance of gas in Nigeria. So we are now trying to train our people on safety, on how to install the conversions kit, and for people to have rest of mind that wherever they carry their vehicle to, they will get it well done.
The partnership with Edo State Government and Lady Mechanic Initiative will equip these pioneers with CNG conversion skills to play important roles in the nation's transition from petroleum to cleaner energy powered transportation system.
The training is going to take 1 week today, continue after the graduation. We are going to continue in the workshop.
Of course, we all know the saying that says what a man can do, a woman can do better, and it should be evident, and it will be evident through me.
The initiative is also intended to take young ladies out of the streets and reduce social vices by making them self-reliant and self-employed in a male-dominated field. In Benin, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
This is the news at 11 on NTA News 24. Here is a recap of our top stories.
In promoting sustainable agricultural practices and addressing issues such as flooding.
President Bola Tinubu addresses joint sitting of St. Lucia Parliament, stresses the importance of consolidating and bond friendship. Senate seeks input of stakeholders as it gives legal backing to institutions established by President Tinubu. APC fixes July the 24th for NEC meeting to replace former national chairman. A delegation from the federal government of Nigeria has visited the Dantata family in the holy city of Medina, Saudi Arabia, to offer condolences and participate in funeral rites for the late elder statesman and business icon Alhaji Aminu Dantata. Alhaji Dantata passed away on Saturday in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, at the age of 94. Following his wishes, he will be buried in Medina on Tuesday. The delegation, which departed Nigeria late Sunday and arrived in Medina early Monday, was led by the Minister of Defense and former Governor of Jigawa State, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar. He was accompanied by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi SAN, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, and the Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development, Yusuf Abdullahi Atta. Also part of the delegation were prominent Islamic clerics, including Dr. Bashiru Aliyu Umar, Sheikh Aminu Ibrahim Daurawa, and Khalifa Abdullahi Muhammad, the Imam of Dentata Mosque in Abuja. The delegation was received by Alhaji Mustafa Junaid and other family members, including the deceased wives, children and grandchildren, who expressed appreciation for the government's condolence visit. The Minister of Defense, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, delivered President Bola Tinubu's message of condolence. The demise of Baba Aminu deeply touches President Tinubu. He prays that Allah grants him Al-Jannah Firdaus and gives the entire family the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. The Nigerian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Ambassador Ibrahim Mudibo, Consular General Ambassador Muazzam Ibrahim Nayaya, and Defense Attaché Major General Adamu Hassan were also part of the delegation. The Islamic clerics offered prayers for the late Alhaji Aminu Dantata. And that concludes the news at 11 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I'm Nancy Godiangonihu.